All right, people. I'm here. What's up? What's up? What's up? I'm Stu because um we're getting started tonight just talking about more of Rap Quest 2 because that's the main focus of what I'm doing here at Fresh Dope Games, the label. Um and you know what I'm saying? There's been a lot of questions about the release. A lot of people were confused and thinking that it was going to also be out for iOS at the same time. Not to say that they were confused, because I did kind of infer that that was something I was shooting for, so I shot for it. Um, Welcome to the chat. If you're just joining, like I said, I'm Stu Because, and I will be kind of talking through some of the things that are going on right now within the kind of domain of what I'm doing here with RapQuest 2, kind of on a larger level with Fresh Dope Games as a whole entity. I'm still going to be working through a lot of what I'm trying to get out of here, get out of my mind and into the game with RapQuest 2. And so, I'm just here to answer questions. I know people have questions. I can try to like look through some of them myself if anybody doesn't want to jump on to the chat. But what I'll say is thank you for those of you who have already downloaded and started to play version 2.0. 2.0 came out, I want to say like last Friday. I am working on a 2.0 point basically hot fix, which is something that's going to be coming out onto the Google Play Store. Should be within the next several hours. I approved it today, this morning. I submitted it last night. Normally it takes, or yesterday, I think afternoon. Normally it takes about a little less than 24 hours. So it should be ready before the night is out tonight. Um, and so we'll see. But again, these things aren't necessarily as perfect as science, when it comes to publishing and all the parts of game development that don't involve the actual design. There's so much that goes into it. And I really want to just completely like be as transparent as possible with people who are jumping in to Rap Quest 2 thinking that the game is going to be anything like um, any of their favorite AAA games that are out there. The game is not a AAA game right now. Okay. Something that I'm working towards to get to a AAA level. There's a lot of preparation. There's a lot of high skill level, hard work consistently for an extended period of time by many different people. Usually you don't have one person putting out a AAA game, but then again, you got Flappy Bird, right? And if you just heard that, that was something that I'm gonna have to figure out how to mute. I think I know how to do that. Um, Give me 1 second here. Just going to exit out of this and then do that. All right, cool. So I'll come back to that. But that's the game, right? So like the game is like doing stuff in the background. And version 2.0 doesn't have some of the stuff that I just recently, like that little sound. That little sound kind of infers that there's something else going on in the game while you just let the game sit. So there's something coming for version 2.0.2 or maybe 2.0.3. We'll see. Didn't mean for that to rhyme. But then again, maybe I did. Um, So yeah, I'm working on a 2.0.2. 2.0.1 was supposed to be the hot fix, and then it got rejected by Google for some ridiculous reason that had nothing to do with the actual game development itself. So that would have been out by now, except for Google was like, nah, we're not allowing you to do it this way. So I'm resubmitting with that fix as well as a couple other tweaks and stuff that I've added. And I'm just gonna be kind of in the habit, hopefully, as we go forward here, trying to get more tweaks into the game. Uh, nah, he tweaking. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what people be saying these days. But yeah, so that's what I'm trying to do is just work on these little improvements, these updates. There's a lot that needs to be fixed. I know. I wanted to get the game in your hands, not necessarily to treat y'all as beta testers, because that's not what I was going for. What I'm going for is more of, you know, I guess I wanted to just get it in your hands to prove to myself that I could publish it. Because if I can't get it done, all right, let's say it this way. I was trying to get this done by the end of the summer, right? We still have summer to go. And so is it the 2.0 version that I was hoping it would be? Nah, because like in the ideal realm, you always have a perfect game. You always have it, execute exactly like you want it to, and all that kind of stuff. So things don't always translate from the ideal realm down to the physical space, right? So just trying to translate those things. And there's still some, just like with any language or with any communication style, you gotta refine, 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 refine. And much like what we have these days with some of our favorite artists putting out early work before, or leaking early work, whether it's them leaking it or whether their people are leaking it or whatever the case may be. That happens, and it's something that is becoming more common, but and more accepted too. And I mean, when it comes to video games, we've been doing that in the game industry for a long time. People have been putting out patches. NBA 2K is infamous for releasing unfinished work and then building upon it over the course of the year. And then by the time the game is actually in a good place, it's time for the next game. So I'm not saying that that's what I want to do. I'm not trying to follow that model necessarily. But again, I'm not 2K. I don't have our visual concepts, I guess is who develops NBA 2K. But I don't have the resources at my disposal that a visual concepts or 2K games has until I do. And then when I do, it's going to be a lot different. It's going to be a lot different. So what's up, Morph Negus? I appreciate you joining the stream, my family. So again, just to update the people who are coming in a little late, version 2.0 of RapQuest 2 is in Google Play now, but it is buggy, and you may not get into the kind of tour de force of the game now, which is the animation in the work mini game, the venues that you can go to perform. So I'm working on that. I've already started to optimize it to the point where it's playable, at least for hopefully most people's phones. But I do understand that there are some older devices that are just not going to be able to handle what I'm doing, just because, for what it's worth, the game is actually running through a web view, right? So it's not like an encapsulated app the way that you would have it if you were doing like a Unity game or an Unreal Engine game. These types of games that you tend to see in the Google Play Store and the App Store that are just like polished and all this other kind of stuff. They don't make those in web views because they have all these graphics, they have all these things that they're adding to the game that kind of would slow a web view down. But when it's encapsulated within a game, it's within a, I don't know what you call it, like an encapsulation, right? It gets to run on its own engine basically. And so that's something that I wanted to do. I was working on trying to do that earlier this year, or maybe last year, probably last year, but it fell apart, and it didn't come together the way I was hoping it would. So I'm gonna just keep pushing on trying to get this build better and better and better until it gets to a point where I'm happy enough with it that I can like present it not only to you, the players, but then, maybe look at some investment, maybe look at some crowdfunding, maybe look at some other different ways that I can get this game to be better optimized. And then I can also start to go and work on the next version, or the next, I should say, sequel, the whole next sequel to the game. Now, RapQuest 3 isn't really my next game planned, right? So I have like several games that I want to get out of my wheelhouse before I start working on a sequel to RapQuest 2, which is why I'm trying to put as much work into RapQuest 2 version 2.x as I possibly can. And I appreciate Morphnig is saying the new improvements to the songwriting process in RapQuest is the most unique I've seen. Mwah, I appreciate you. I appreciate you because that's honestly that's what I was going for, and I think you know there's a lot more to that I wanted to do and I still will do, but you gotta start somewhere. So building a foundation, making sure that there's the concepts are actually coming across, right? And kind of like literally in the game, they come across the screen from left to right. Uh, and then yeah, and not only when you are writing, but also like when you spit is going from left to right as well. So there's that whole thing. And then figuratively, of course, you want to try to communicate this idea. You got to break it down. You got to reverse engineer it. You got to spit it back out in a playable way that is actually challenging. And so, in this next version, you're gonna start seeing they're gonna be a little bit more challenge involved in playing, but it won't be that hard still. And again, like as the game grows, there's gonna be um, more challenge that gets added to it. That's just the intention, and that's what it's gonna be. I think when when I get to a point where the game is truly polished, RapQuest 2 is truly polished, um, it'll be a lot nicer in terms of what kind of features are in it. It'll be the kind of game that you would imagine a AAA game would look like. You know what I mean? So that's the goal, right? So new art, new interactions, new music, all of that stuff is coming for sure. It's coming. I don't know. I can't give a timeline on it yet because I have to figure out who I'm going to work with in order to get this done. I don't really want to do it by myself at this point anymore. Like it's super hard to lift this whole game up by myself. It was a heavy game to begin with, and I've just been spending years just trying to get strong enough to lift it. And now I'm strong enough to lift it, but people are like, "How come you can't toss it like a baseball all the way into the atmosphere?" You know, so that's where I'm at right now, and I'm trying to get to that point. But I got to tap in. I got to tap into that deeper essence within me that gives me my skills the extra boost they need. But a lot of it is really just like trial and error. Let's be honest. A lot of it is trial and error. So that's part of what I kind of expected, that there would be some unfinished loose ends that people would be able to pick out. And that's going to be regardless of whether I was releasing this as quote unquote an unfinished product or a quote unquote finished product. Because software, like most video games, are never truly finished. They're just as good as they can get at the time. So that's where I'm at with that. I'm just learning from my experiences being in the game industry, my experiences being adjacent to the game industry professionally, and then my experiences being a player, as well as my experiences being a rapper, as well as my experiences being a rap consumer, right? Rap music, rap culture, hip hop culture consumer. So there's a lot of those experiences that I'm kind of mixing together and putting into this larger kind of game experience that encapsulates and consolidates and melds and does all these different things to the experience that I'm trying to like bring to you. And it's I'm glad that y'all are seeing the different facets of it. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to bring the let's see if I can bring this up real quick. So this is a thing. So this is code, right? This is more or less what we call visual scripting, right? So if y'all haven't seen this before, this is basically just um, trying to uh, write lines of code in a way that is easy for me because I can go in and I can change like the parameters and stuff in here like that. So the fact that the parameters are in here to change is way better for me than if I were to have to write this out in just lines of text, just lines of text. I just there's too much. That's too much code. I need something that at least put the code here and then change this thing over here and Do you want yes or no? Do you want up or down? Like those type of things help me as a designer, because at the end of the day, I'm really more of a designer than I am a developer anyway. But obviously, I had to do what I had to do. So I'm a developer by the work that I've put together, but I'm more of a designer at heart. And so that's why, you know, you're not getting a AAA experience quite yet, but you're still getting the overall, um, I guess you would say, composition, right? So the composition may be a little undercooked, and that's fair. That's fair. Um, I'm okay with that personally. I'm okay putting myself out there as, hey, I'm an artist. I have a game idea. I will do all the technical things that it takes to get it into your hands. And it's not going to be technically what you expect it to be, but artistically, creatively, hopefully, you'll start to see what I was going for. And then I'll continue to improve my own skills as well as improve the software itself to make sure that what you're getting is a more refined version of the original image or vision. Um, yeah, so that's where we're going with it. And I'm learning things, you know what I'm saying? Feedback is always great. Um, but I'm just glad to just be, able to just hop on with y'all and talk about what's going on with RapQuest 2. So let's see if I can do something with this. Yeah, hey, there's my face. So I'm actually working on some debug stuff right now, and as you'll see, let me see if I can just quickly boom. As you'll see, I have this little thing up here, and it has some weird stuff in it, right? Let's do let's say you'll see what part of the development process have you spent the most time editing? Well, the development process itself has had to have a certain level of refinement as well, because the process is something that I don't have classically built within me, right? It's not this is how you are, this is how you be an indie game developer, and this is the only way to be an indie game developer. Because at the end of the day, like what it is that you're building has a lot to do with how you do your development process. So for me as a designer, I'm my only stakeholder, right? I mean, yes, the people who play the game are also to a certain degree stakeholders, but not to the degree that I am, right? So I'm the primary stakeholder. I know what I want, but learning how to do it is something that I only want to learn what I need to learn in order to do what I need to do. You see what I'm saying? I'm not trying to like become a class A game developer first and then make the game. I'm trying to make the game with what I need to know to make the game. And then any other games that are out there in the world as a developer that I can make, I'll learn how to do that when the time comes. And honestly, I'm really going to try to find and align myself with better developers than I could ever be. Um, that's just a smart way to do it. So the process, part of it is, learn that you're doing it by yourself. So you're going to have to do a lot of Googling and a lot of research and stuff like that. Also, there's going to be a lot of trial and error. I've learned a lot about, I guess, getting to a point where um, the the things that I need to do are a lot easier to figure out. Like, oh, I know what I need to do with this. Okay, I need to set a little, I need to, get an array together and then like add, you know, details to the array based on what happens when you click on this button versus that button or whatever, right? So little things like that, knowing how to do things, that's a super important part that's been in refinement, but also just looking at what the game is, right? So uh I think the biggest thing has been animation, right? So without this being too loud, let me see if this is gonna be. I don't think this is gonna be too loud, but like again, this is. I'm not gonna just keep pressing that because it's only a few more seconds of the thing anyway. But like this is my guy at I guess buzz level 100%, I think. But you'll see a couple of things here. Got my level 7. You'll see a couple of things here that are actually tweaked. So for instance, the experience gained, that's been tweaked a little bit. Um, and then the buzz gained, right? You see right here. That's something that I just added. Somebody had said that that was broken. There's no way to gain buzz, and I made a mistake by not putting that in immediately. But I knew how to do it. So knowing how and where to put stuff. See, I've built so many different screens and so many different interactions. I can go into Construct 3 and take a look at like, okay, well, where did I go to put? I'd have to go to the work. I'd have to go to the work mini game events. Then I'd have to look for, let's see, I'd have to work for the works, look for the work score tallying group or section, because that's where that little thing comes up. That little in the game preview, when you look here and you see, uh, buzz gained, I'll show you exactly in Construct 3 where I put that. And it's really pretty simple at this point now that I've kind of gone through the development process. But so that was the freestyle one. So I have two functions. I got a function for stacking the scores in the freestyle game, and then I have one for stacking the scores in the main venues, right? The performance venues. So I'm gonna open up the freestyle cipher, right? And then I'll go down and I'll say, this is the freestyle score section. This is the highest zone streak section. This is the experience gain section. This is the fan section. And then I had to add a new section here, which meant that I had to go up here and make sure that I was, let's see, where is it at? Where is it at? Where's it at? I don't remember exactly where I put it, but I had to basically make sure that there were the correct number of instances. I think it's right here. Score cats, right? Score categories. So I set this somewhere up here somewhere. And basically I made it so that um, you gained a certain amount of buzz, and how much buzz you gained had to do with basically it chooses between 0, 1, and 2 if you are in the freestyle cipher. Because and there's a story behind it, right? So like think about it like this. Um, if you go to a freestyle cipher as like a big name artist, you're probably not going to gain that much buzz because people don't care as much about like first week number, or they don't care as much about you doing a cipher and freestyling as much as they would about what your numbers look like, because the numbers game has been dominating kind of hip hop right now. And that's just like what it always has been though, because like if you're a commercial artist, then the whole point is commerce, right? If you're just a artsy fartsy artist, then if the purpose is not commerce, then you're gonna be in the rap spaces where people are doing stuff for free anyway, which isn't the spaces that people are super hyped to be around, except for the people who are in those spaces and are artsy fartsy, right? So just the same way as like you're not gonna hear people talking about Banksy unless they care about like revolutionary art, I guess, or anything in that kind of vein of like, you know, social commentary and all that kind of stuff, right? So you got to be into what it is that the thing is. So, um, whereas if I'm in like a theater or a nightclub, I might gain more buzz, right, than I would if I were in a freestyle cipher. So that's just as part of trying to have a career, right? This is what this whole game is about, is having a career. So there's a commercial aspect to having a career, which is why the money is in the game and all this other stuff, right? So that's part of it. And then I can go back to the game and show you like, okay, cool. So the buzz is there. And however, if I let this sit for a while, and my buzz is currently at 74%, which is why you saw so many people at the cipher, because the buzz has to do with how many people already know what's going on with you, right? Whereas image is more like, and that's why image doesn't show up here on the work boost section, or even in the marketing section. But image is more about like, are you in people's favor? Whereas some people are just attracted to like dumpster fires, you know what I mean? So like you can have a really negative image but a high buzz. So that's something also to think about. But again, telling the story of the game is difficult unless you have the architecture of the game set up in such a way where you can start to weave the story in between what makes this game structure rigid. And right now I'm still like the foundation has been built, but now I'm adding features to the actual house or the building or whatever, to use that metaphor. So but why, if you watch the screen for a minute, or maybe like a couple minutes, maybe 5. And I'll just leave it there, and you'll see at the bottom of the screen, you'll see that there's this kind of what I call a snack bar that shows up, that just tells you like, hey, your buzz just degraded by a certain amount. And it's just natural attrition. It's just natural what happens over time. You're not going to have your buzz on 75%, 74%, or whatever for a whole year and not do anything. You know what I mean? So you have to do the work, which is very important. And so the buzz is in the game now. That was something that somebody had pointed out, which is something that I had always intended to put in, but it's just there's so many lines of code, there's so many pages, there's so many interactions, so many little like just clicking this and getting that and doing this and going here and having that little thing slide in and out. Like every single thing that you see that can be clicked, or every single thing that can be opened, each one of these things, like, so all these interactions, they're not just like, oh, I'll just grab this and drop that here, and I'll just grab this and drop this here. No, you have to like literally go in and program all of these things. And there it is, right? Your buzz naturally faded to 69%. So that's the thing that happens in the game now. And the reason is because there's a time element to the game. There wasn't a time element to the game in version 1.7.7, right? There was kind of a time element, but not the same. So you could leave the game and not play it for a long time and then come back to the game. And then it's like, oh, you gained like 1,000 or 100,000 or however many fans since the last time you played the game. So that's something that was in the game before, but it's not going to be in the game going forward, just because now I have a built-in kind of world time mechanic that's going to play into how the game kind of gives you these things, right? So that's one of them, was your buzz just kind of degrades over time. And then another one, and I can change like the frequency of the buzz degrading. So right now it's at 5 minutes of like real time when you're playing the game. Unless you're inside of like a mini game of some sort. So if you're writing, then your buzz is not degrading. But if you're not writing and you're just sitting on the shop screen like this, then your buzz will degrade, right? So I'm gonna go do something real quick just to get my buzz back up. Let's see if I can do an open mic. I'm gonna do it with the sound off because I don't wanna, well, you know what? How about we just do this? Now you see, these bombs are a lot more frequent than they were before. Now, to get all of this to work, it takes a lot. It takes a lot. Oh, hit a bomb. Hit a bomb in my own game on a stream. It's okay. Sometimes you bomb. It's okay, because you keep going. It doesn't matter if you bomb. You don't stop. And that's the thing. That's what's important. Okay. And one thing I want to mention here too, which is kind of cool, is something that you'll end up learning about rap, which is part of the reason I made this game too. One of the things you'll learn about rap is that when you hit the bars in that little best spit area, you'll learn that like where you spit your syllables can actually change. You don't always have to rhyme at the very end of your line. You don't always have